The Andy Pollin Show on ESPN 630, the sports capital.
This is Orioles preview. Orioles play the rubber game of their homestand series against the Texas Rangers. They won the first game. Outstanding pitching, by the way, in game one. And last night, just a bizarre game, the way this unfolded. Jacob Latz, the starting pitcher for Texas, took a no-hitter into the seventh inning. The Rangers had a 4-0 lead, and it looked like they were going to close the game out. And then, kaboom, 3 straight homers for the Orioles. Gary Sanchez, Ramon Urias, and Ryan O'Hearn, consecutive homers. They turn a 4-0 deficit into a 5-4 lead, and you go, whoa, look at that. How about that? A game that they looked like they were possibly going to be no-hit in. Now they have a lead, 5-4. Texas ties the game. They take it to the 10th, and they win the game 6-5. It drops the Orioles 11 games under 500, 34-45. They are 11 games behind the first-place Yankees. They're running out of time. You know, it's a season that was supposed to be a step-up season, and it's clearly been a step-back season after back-to-back playoff years. They've already fired the manager. And who knows what's next, but it has been a massive disappointment for them. And for Tony Mansolino, the interim manager taking over for Brandon Hyde, who's done a good job. I mean, they've played better since he took over. But this is the kind of game that just kills you because you take the momentum swing and you find out a way to close it out, and they couldn't do it. And despite the fact that they scored 5 runs, they had only 4 hits, and all of them were in the same 7th inning.
Yeah, I mean, that was a big inning off a guy that's been throwing the ball really well. I do think that we swung the bat a little bit better than, probably what the scoreboard indicated earlier in the game. There's some hard hit balls, especially by our left-handed hitters. I thought we got ourselves into trouble a little bit with our right-handed hitters kind of chasing out of the zone. If you kind of go back and look at the game, we probably should have had 4 or 5 walks from our right-handed guys. Credit to the starting pitcher. It's a good fastball, the changeup, not a whole lot middle. But I think if we keep them on the plate better, it's a little better night for us.
There were 3 plays on the plate when you guys were on defense.
Yeah.
Rangers safe all 3 times, one of which review. What you kind of see on those plays? Maybe it's a matter of inches in this baseball.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we had one the other day too. It's they're close. They're good slides. I'll credit the base runners at their base, but one of these days we got to get one of those, no doubt.
You mentioned the big inning. Just how much do you feel like the momentum had swung with those back-to-back homers?
Yeah, we felt good about it. We just even with having Soto up, kind of with where they were at and what we thought they were going to do with their right-handed pinch hitters, it kind of lined up how we expected it. Thought Soto threw the ball good, just didn't hold the runner. 1 walk, 2 flyouts, and a punch out. We just got to keep the guy at first base, probably a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, it's you get that momentum right there. You feel really good about it. You got Bautista sitting down there in the 9th. We had Bate kind of on the shelf today. We weren't going to use Bate just with how much we used him on this last road trip. So with the choice that we made, we felt really good about it.
Kind of a weird inning there in the 10th for Dominguez. I mean, 3 strikeouts, but no hits allowed. But he's throwing a couple wild pitches and guys moving around. I mean, what did you just kind of see from him there?
Yeah, just that. I mean, it's a little bit up and down. We've seen him really good. Again, I think we've had to rely on these guys so heavily here over the 16-game stretch. I think you start to see little leaks here and there with command and things like that. I don't think that's unusual by any means after how much these guys have thrown. So the bottom line is they didn't really hit anything hard off him. Got 3 punch outs, contact play at the plate, slow hit ball. Carter, who can really run, makes a great slide at the plate, goes to review, they overturn it. Just probably would, a few more strikes, probably been a little bit cleaner inning, but he did great.
You want to hear frustration? Charlie Morton, who was, and this is addressing what the front office is doing, and I don't know how much Mike Elias has to spend and all that, but they bring in 41-year-old Charlie Morton. And Charlie Morton was on his way out of baseball in the early part of the season. He was horrible. He's pitched much better lately. He's got his ERA down to 5.62. He pitched okay last night. He went 5 innings, gave up 4 hits and 3 runs. But this is not what he signed up for. He was coming to a team where he thought he'd have the veteran leadership in the clubhouse and would be the missing piece for a team that's made the playoffs the last 2 years but hasn't won a playoff game. He's had some success over the years, particularly in Atlanta recently. And just listen to the frustration that he gives you here, the fact that he could only go 5, and to see a case where they should have won the game and the bullpen couldn't close it out. Listen to the frustration in the voice of one Charlie Morton.
I mean, just that 4th inning, I think I threw like 40-something pitches too. So that was frustrating because I thought I definitely had a chance there to work into the 6th and, limit runs, and they did a good job putting the ball in play, and there were a couple really, really deep counts and ran my pitch count up a lot. So, yeah.
Obviously, a lot happened in this game after you left. How tough is it for the team to lose a game like this, where it really felt like the momentum had swung there in the 7th?
Yeah, it's it's a baseball, right? It's just part of it. It's like momentum swings happen. They grinded back and scratch and clawed, and that's a tough one. But I think this group has really started to kind of gain some footing with games like that. Where the guys are, I think, they will do that. They'll punch back. They'll fight back. And to get where we want to get to, that we're going to have to do that, right? We're going to have to go out and bang with somebody. We're going to go out and outgrind somebody, and so it doesn't make it any easier. But it was a really I don't know. I was like, it just felt like even the guys that came out of the bullpen, they grinded it out. It just felt like that we couldn't get things to go our way, and it took the guys, putting some really good swings on the ball and knocking it out of the park. But that was just kind of that one of those nights where it was just like, man, the grind wasn't enough.
Yeah, and it was a long grind because this game went 3 hours and 23 minutes. Games don't go that long anymore. There are a lot of things that happened there. Ryan O'Hearn, who hit one of the 3 consecutive homers, he's been one of the bright spots for them this year. He's going to be an all-star. He's hitting .306, and his home run was part of the hope that they had late in the game. But again, coming up short, and a team that expected to be contending for first place or maybe even in first place as the calendar is about to flip over to July, he's part of now a last-place team that's 11 games under 500.
Yeah, it's frustrating for sure. Charlie and the guys in Keegan and the guys out of the pen keep us close enough there, and then, the big inning, score 5 runs, and, it feels like we're going to steal one there, and it's going to be a great win for us. And then, unfortunately, you guys saw it happen, and, tough one to lose, for sure.
Sorry, what made Ladd so difficult tonight?
He started working that changeup into lefties. I can speak for the lefties. I mean, if you look at his report, it's fastball, slider, and then it's like 2 or 3% changeup. And then he started breaking that thing out. And, I think personally messed up my game plan a little bit because, you look for that slider to start inner lane right there or black end, and then hopefully, it's the ball leaks back over, and then that's when it's a good pitch to hit. But, he's starting the change up there, and then it was kind of fading, and then, swing and miss, and he's got a good fastball. He was good tonight.
You guys haven't played many games like that this year, where there was, where there were so many momentum shifts. First of all, you were confident you were going to come back from it, and then how disappointing it is to finally lose after the comeback.
Yeah, I think, we're going to play every out and every inning to the end of the game. I've said it a million times, I like our chances with our offense. I think we have a great offense. Very frustrating. It felt good to get that momentum swing, big inning in the 5th there, and it felt like, all right, here we go. We're going to steal this one.
Yeah, 11 home runs for Ryan O'Hearn. He's been a team leader, but they couldn't get it done last night as they fall 11 under 500. Again, another tough pitcher facing tonight, Jacob deGrom, who had some incredible years with the Mets, has battled injuries. He's having a terrific comeback season with Texas, 7-2 with an ERA of 2.24. So he'll be on the mound tonight as they close out the series. Rubber game, and our coverage here will start at 6 o'clock. Day off tomorrow for the Orioles, and after playing in this brutal heat for the last few days, they're going to need it, and then Tampa's coming in for a weekend series. Coming up, we will talk to the Orioles Vice President of Scouting, Matt Blood, as we get set for the draft coming up next month in Atlanta, July 13th and 14th. We'll talk about what the draft is all about for the Orioles this year, in a year where they were expected to contend and have fallen back, what that means, and the draft process in general. It's the Andy Pollin Show, Orioles Preview, ESPN 630.
The Andy Pollin Show on ESPN 630, the sports capital.
This is Orioles Preview. Orioles close out their series against Texas at Camden Yards tonight, 6:30 start. Our coverage here on ESPN 630 gets underway at 6 o'clock. Orioles now 11 games under 500 after kind of a wild game last night against Texas, where they fell behind 4-0. They were facing a pitcher who took a no-hitter, Jacob Latz, into the seventh inning. Then they exploded on him with 3 straight home runs in the seventh, took the lead, only to give the lead back. 5-5 game going into the 10th inning, and they gave up a run with the ghost runner on second base, and they lose the game. They have played better recently, but they haven't shown signs of going on a heater, so they can really get back into this thing. And with the record 11 games under 500, not that the Yankees and Tampa Bay are running away with things, but they're going to be very, very difficult to catch. You've also got Toronto ahead of them. Boston has started to pick things up a little bit. It's going to be very tough and maybe almost impossible for them to get back into it, which leads us to wonder what's going to happen at the trade deadline. Now, I would imagine that they're going to be sellers. They have players that they want to pick up prospects for, and you wonder if that will change some of the strategy that they have going into the draft, because, you know, when you start planning at the beginning of the year, you're probably planning for an Orioles team that's going to be a factor, a team that's going to make some noise, maybe even win some playoff games this year. It seemed to be a given that they were going to get in, and at this point, looks like it's impossible. So it'll be interesting to find out if that has changed any of the strategy going into the draft. The other thing that's different about the draft process is the number of rounds. They cut it down. I believe it's 20. In fact, I can find out for sure because we have Matt Blood, who is the vice president of scouting for the Orioles. Am I right? Is the draft now 20 rounds?
That is correct.
Okay. And how has that changed the way the strategy works when it was what? At one point, I think it was like 65 rounds. Mike Piazza's in the Hall of Fame. I think he was like 62nd round. How has the strategy changed with a shorter draft?
Yeah, the draft was a bunch of rounds, and then 50 rounds, and then 40 rounds, and then now 20 rounds. I don't know that the strategy has changed all that much outside of just how many players you need to be aware of and stack up for draft day. Now it's obviously smaller. I mean, we still end up signing some players after the draft, so you could say that it's a little more than 20 rounds, but it's more just about like the sheer number of players you need to be prepared to go to draft day with.
Is it changed in the way that you look at high school players versus college players, that maybe you can get more high school players after the draft process is over, or has that had no effect on it?
Yeah, I don't think that's really impacted it. I mean, we're still trying to get major league players, and those prospects come from high school and college and junior college and everywhere else. So I wouldn't say it's changed that much. I mean, what's maybe changed the ability to get those players is the stuff that's going on in the college game. But our strategy is still the same, which is we're trying to make the best bet we can to get major league value at every pick.
The movie Moneyball came out 14 years ago, and it opened the eyes to a lot of people as to how the process worked. I know it was Hollywood. I know there was some exaggeration there. But how much is analytics now a part of it versus the old-fashioned way where you have the bird dog watching the high school games and finding those prospects?
Well, I think that as a decision maker, you're only as good as the information that you have and how that information relates to what other teams have. And at one point, all the information that there was out there was what the scouts saw.
Mm-hmm.
And then that has evolved, from the very beginning parts of scouting to now. And, teams are trying to gather and make sense of as much information as they can. And those who have the best information, which is some combination of field scouting, in-game metrics, and performance data, that's what teams are trying to do is make the most sense of those in a way that's better than others.
Do you have like meetings where there are like the old time guys who are pounding the table for some kid he saw out in Oklahoma versus the ones who break down the numbers, who look at the raw numbers for the players? Is that part of how decisions are made?
Literally, that's going on at this very second. I actually had to step out of the meeting to call you guys. So we are doing that as we're talking right now.
Yeah, interesting. We're talking to Matt Blood, who is the vice president of scouting. This was expected to be, and may still be, if there's a big turnaround, a year that there's going to be postseason. But if not, your team is likely to be sellers at the trade deadline for prospects. Does that make any difference when you're doing your decisions as to who to draft next month?
It makes no impact.
Mm-hmm.
With the way that the baseball draft is, it's different than the other sports. We're not drafting players that are making immediate impact. We're really looking at the longer term view and just how we can maximize the value of each pick. So whether we're winning or losing, or making the playoffs or not making the playoffs in any particular year, should not impact our strategy.
Your story is interesting. Didn't play baseball in college, right? And worked with the North Carolina baseball team as a student assistant. How did you find your way to do this? Because this is an unusual path.
Yeah, I played baseball my whole life, was very involved in the game, studied the game, got to University of North Carolina, wasn't quite good enough to play on a very good team, and we lost in the World Series finals my junior and senior year. And so what I did was got involved with the coaching staff and asked if there was ways I could get into the scouting side of things, and was kind of one of the first people who would sit behind the plate and chart games using a Palm Pilot, and then run tendencies on our own players for development purposes, but also, advanced scouting on the other teams. And through doing that, I started to get a scouting perspective, and I was sitting with scouts regularly. I mean, Andrew Miller, the left-handed pitcher, and I are the same year. So, I was behind the plate watching all of his outings with scouting directors and whatnot, and so just got exposed to the industry at a young age, as well as doing multiple internships with USA Baseball, and then also with the Tampa Bay Rays. So by the time I graduated from college, I had developed a significant amount of experience in this realm, enough to make it to where I was at least somewhat qualified enough to be offered a job in the scouting world, which is what happened. I was 23 and took an area scout position, and really kind of continued to learn, with the St. Louis Cardinals, and that's where I met Mike Elias and Sig, and so it was really just starting young and paying attention and learning, and through now the last 17, 18 years being in and around the game, just developed a perspective and an understanding of how things work and what things are supposed to look like. And, the player development side too has really helped me understand kind of what works and what doesn't work, and how we go about developing players to, hopefully turn them into major leaguers. So No, I didn't play professionally, but I've been around it now for a long time. I've just been fortunate enough to be with some really smart baseball people, as well as like long-time baseball people, like Mike Roberts with the St. Louis Cardinals was one of my biggest mentors, and I'm just very fortunate to be around good people.
Before I let you go, do you have a good story that everybody must have a scouting story they like to tell? What's your favorite?
Oh man, yeah, that's tough. I mean, I'd say my first year scouting, I was in the deep south. I was running around trying to figure out, how to do the job essentially, and one of the players that I was asked to go see was a first baseman at Texas State. And the reason I was asked to go see him was he had some numbers that were a signal that he was going to be pretty good. And, I'd never heard of San Marcos, Texas before, but I drove the 8 hours out there to watch a doubleheader. And the guy hit a couple home runs, but he was, somewhat, at least at the time, looked a little bit unathletic and stiff, and the competition wasn't great. So I thought he was okay, but I put him in like the 8th round or so and went about my business. And he ended up getting drafted by the Diamondbacks in about the 8th round. And his name was Paul Goldschmidt. He turned into one of the best players, one of the best hitters in the world.
Yeah.
And, I learned a nice lesson on that, when there's a signal, like pay more attention and maybe do some more homework and try to make sure that you got your ducks in a row. And, I'll always remember Paul Goldschmidt as, one of the players I probably should have liked a little more.
Yeah. Well, I covered minor league baseball in San Antonio. They had a relief pitcher who got lit up all the time. They moved him up to Albuquerque, and his name is Earl Hershiser. And he became a starter, and the rest is history. So, yes, everybody's got stories like that. Hey, best of luck. Hope you find some hidden gems in the draft next month. Good to talk to you.
Great talking to you. Thank you.
Take care. That's Matt Blood, who is the Vice President of Scouting for the Orioles. The draft is going to take place next month in Atlanta, July 13th and 14th. Orioles picking 19, 30, and 31. So 2 first-round picks, and the draft is down to 20 rounds, not the mismanageable 65 rounds that it used to be. I want to thank Isaac Harris for running the show today, Matt Blood for coming on, for all of you who listen. Bram is coming up next, and I'll see you back here tomorrow at 9 a.m.